indeed, there goes the final whistle. Aberdeen have won the European Cup Winners' Cup, and the celebrations now begin, both on the field and off. The referee, Benigala, stops the match. Aberdeen the winners by 2-1. A rousing performance by the Aberdeen side. They showed talent, skill, commitment, strength. John Hewitt, the man who got the goal in extra time after Eric Black's first half goal was equalised by Juanito from the penalty spot. And now all Scotland can rejoice. The Aberdeen players still out there in the field. Presentation of the trophy will have to wait.
I think it's a magnificent moment for Aberdeen, Jock. I'm absolutely delighted for Fergie. I'm delighted for the players because they deserve to win this final tonight, because they gave all the commitment that was needed. They took the game to Real all the time, and they really had a tremendous night. And look at them, they're going to enjoy it, and good luck to them as well.
And the Aberdeen players now coming to their supporters to salute them for the backing they had. Here's the moment no one in Aberdeen or Scotland will forget for a very long time. There's John McMaster, who undoubtedly is one of Aberdeen's heroes tonight. He had a superb match for my money. Let's look at the goal again from a different angle. McGee's beautiful left foot cross, headed home by Hewitt. And well, we won't tire of seeing that for a very long time. The Aberdeen players still anxious to greet their supporters, and the presentation of the trophy still being required to wait. There's the contingent of Aberdeen supporters. Must be about 10,000 anyway inside the stadium. And that performance from Aberdeen makes the whole affair worthwhile. No question of there being luck attached to the Aberdeen victory. They were the better side throughout. Archie Knox greeting John McMaster. Photographers on the field looking for all the Aberdeen players, for the manager Alec Ferguson, who's out there in the middle. There's Peter Weir, who's beautifully chipped past to Mark McGee, set up the move for the winning goal. Archie Knox being lifted aloft on the shoulders of John McMaster and John Hewitt. And the celebrations, I fear, may well go well into the night. Well done at the Aberdeen physio, enjoying the occasion also. The third Scottish club side to win a European competition. And Aberdeen have certainly done it in style, conquering teams like Bayern Munich and Real Madrid. So they didn't do it the easy way. So the presentation of the trophy will be made whenever the Aberdeen players are prepared to go back into the middle. It'll be made on the field of play, and the presentation will be made by the president of UEFA, Dr. Artemio Franchi of Italy. Willie Miller looks very calm and composed, leading these Aberdeen players, who will now collect medals which they'll cherish for the rest of their lives. So the officials, UEFA officials, now re-establishing some order to enable the presentation of the trophy to take place. And the Aberdeen supporters waiting to greet Willie Miller as he walks forward. Dr. Franchi about to hand over the trophy. Carlos Santillana, the beaten Real Madrid captain, looks on as Willie Miller holds aloft the European Cup Winners' Cup, backed by that squad of players which really didn't have a weakness tonight. Some tremendous individual performances, one of them by Neil Simpson holding a trophy now. Jim Leighton did well when he was called upon on 2 or 3 vital occasions. Mark McGee going past. John McMaster with a trophy in his head. Peter Weir, who came on to a great game after the interval. So the medals are now collected. Must take you back, Billy.
Well, it does a whole lot of his job, but really, this is a night for Aberdeen to enjoy. Maybe for me to remember past glories, but certainly for Aberdeen to enjoy this night, and it's terrific for them. It's great. As you mentioned, Jock, they really didn't have a weakness tonight. Everyone contributed in their own way. Some obviously that little bit better than others, but Wasn't it magnificent? You take off the lad Black, who scored the first goal, you bring on a sub and he scores a winner for you. What a marvellous night for those two boys, and what a marvellous night for everyone in Aberdeen. And what a marvellous night for Fergie and Archie, because they've obviously worked hard and they've seen that lot progress that they hope for. It's there for them.
So we might now have a chance to have a word with Aberdeen manager Alex Ferguson. Ian St John's down there trying to find him for a quick word. We'll hang on for that and hear what the Aberdeen manager has to say, if he can be extricated from that crowd of officials, photographers, supporters.
It's just hit me. It's the greatest moment of my life. But I'll tell you, it was a magnificent performance. When the conditions, I thought we thoroughly deserved it. They're the ones that did it. The players out there, proud of them.
Anyone in particular, Alex, you felt it more than anyone else?
No, in this moment, I mean, with some great players, you know, with Miller, Strachan, Simpson, McGee, you're great players, Weir, but they all did it. It's a team performance.
Ali, what were the fans? They're singing here behind me, they're going mad.
I love them.
And there's 12,000 of them here. There didn't seem to be any Spanish fans here at all. They drowned them.
Oh, there was no doubt. If there was 20,000 Spaniards that have been drowned.
Alex, obviously, your young players, Eric Black and John Hewitt, did a marvellous amount of work here tonight. You must have been proud of them coming through something like that.
Well, an experience in itself to come to a European Cup final so young. What can you say about it? I mean, they showed experience at times. The enthusiasm okay at times, but oh, it's marvellous.
And a few celebrations coming up now, Alex.
What a night this is going to be, believe me.
Alex, marvellous. Everyone in Britain, I'm sure, is proud of you.
Thank you.
All the best.
Thanks.
Thanks then to Alex Ferguson. Our congratulations to our reporter was Bob Patience. And what a marvellous night for all Scots. For Aberdeen in particular, that's a tremendous performance against one of the great sides in European football over so many seasons.
An occasion to relish, an occasion to remember, and these Aberdeen players will certainly remember for a very long time. So will their supporters. So the happy news from Gothenburg is Aberdeen have won the cup by 2-1, goals from Black and Hewitt.
So a final score then here at Gothenburg: Aberdeen 2, Real Madrid 1. It's back to the studio.
And with me again, Dennis Law, those 12,000 Aberdeenians braving those atrocious conditions were justly rewarded, weren't they, Dennis?
Oh, magnificent performance by Aberdeen. In the second half of the normal time, they dominated the game. But in extra time, the young players like Cooper and Simpson came through, and we saw the skill of Weir and Strachan, and really they deserved to win. And when you look at the chances that they had, the score should have been 6-2.
Yes, I mean, they could have justified an early reward in that second half. They were supreme in every single department, weren't they?
The goalkeeper had a magnificent game. It was a bit of a slip for the cross, of course, which he missed, and Hewitt scored the goal. But when you look at the 3 chances, 2 by Black, 1 by Strachan, really were great saves.
Right, well, they've won the European Cup Winners' Cup. We're delighted about it. We're going to take a short break now, actually, Dennis, and we're back to see the highlights and how Aberdeen won it.
When it's time to fit one of these, make sure you fitted these. Good.
And welcome back. Well, no doubt they're all celebrating up at Aberdeen their first European triumph, with the Dons having shown great spirit, temperament and character in winning the European Cup Winners' Cup. Let's have a look now just how they did it.
Strachan playing a good shot. Oh, against the crossbar and knocked down there by Eric Black. A tremendous strike for Aberdeen. Black, McGee, Cooper, Simpson, Weir and Rugby are all in there for Aberdeen, and McLeish has come up late, and the goal is there, and it's given by Black. Aberdeen ahead inside 7 minutes. penalty. And Juanito has a golden opportunity of putting Real Madrid back at 1-1. And that's what it is. Back for McGee, back for Strachan. We're in a bit of space on the far side. Now, we need him maybe to beat this man and get across in. He's done part of it. And Strachan, he banged it against the goalkeeper's legs, and the keeper knew nothing about it. Peter Weir for Aberdeen. And Black with the header! Just kept out. Weir once more with the cross for Aberdeen. Good spell this. It didn't come to Black, it comes for Strachan. And it might go yet. And in the end, Real Madrid living so dangerously in their 6-yard area. And they're doing a pretty good hustling job at the moment, are Aberdeen. And a skillful one as well, as Peter Weir takes it up. Now he's got McGee up there and he's got Black up there. He's got Strachan coming up quickly as well. And he's gone past another one as Weir. The cross comes in, they're all over the place, and Black with the header is over the top. Just 2 up for Aberdeen, but Strachan is joining them, and in a little bit of space there to take McGee's pass. Oh, Strachan's gone round Metcod and tries a little chip, but it's just too high. He spotted that Augustin was just off his line. Finding Santillana. What a quiet game he's had, and mind you, he could still be the most dangerous man on their side, but he hasn't really shown a lot of it yet. But here he is on the ball once more. That's an interesting little overhead kick, and they're all waiting. But it's with Neil Simpson at the moment. Oh, he's done well. He's got past Stelica. And the cross will come in. Can Cooper get there? He can't. Well, there were cries with Scottish accents all around saying penalty, but the referee didn't want to know. And Peter will take it. Cooper and McLeish are there too. Same towards... Oh, goodness, that nearly got in. Rugby's header. Juanito with the corner for Real Madrid. Metcod forward. Santillana's in there. Salguero, the substitute who's just come on, is in there too. And a tremendous shot by Santillana, beautifully saved by Leighton. Aberdeen have got to find some strength in those legs to hustle for a few more minutes yet. And they've done so. Weir. That's a good ball from Peter Weir. And now Aberdeen with McGee making the break. And Hewitt waiting in the middle! Hewitt!
Well, what a fantastic goal. And Hewitt has done it again, coming on as a substitute. And let's hope that's the winner as well. Marvellous goal. Peter Weir started it with the ball down the line. McGee took it on, over it came, and there was Hewitt at the back post. The Aberdeen fans are going mad behind us here. Tremendous scenes.
That's the real Peter Weir. And that's the brilliant John Hewitt. And that's 2-1 to Aberdeen.
And anything other than victory would have been a total injustice, wouldn't it, Dennis?
Yes, I think Alex Ferguson has done a marvellous job at Aberdeen. When they played Liverpool in the European Cup 3 years ago, they lost the game in the first 5 minutes. Now, they've learned a great deal since then, and we see them beat Bayern Munich in the quarter-final. Now they beat Real Madrid, and really, they trounced them. They dominated the second half, extra time, everything, and created the chances. And when you think of all the young players that they've got in the side, likes of Cooper and Simpson, I mean, it must be marvellous to think that they've played against Real Madrid and beat them well.
They've done Alex Ferguson proud. Brian Moore was delighted with that goal. I thought he was a Brazilian commentator for a few moments. Let's have a look at it again anyway. You can read it for us, because he said it was a Weir cross. The ball, it started by a Weir, wasn't it, really?
Yes, and the ball down to Mark McGee, but Hewitt making his run, and he timed it perfectly. Now, the keeper had a marvellous game, but he ricked on the cross, and there was Hewitt to knock it in.
It was amazing how they lost their impetus in the first half. They sustained it throughout the second half completely, didn't they, Aberdeen?
Well, of course, they got off to a good start. They got the goal in 7 minutes, and in that 10-minute spell, they really were controlling the game. And then Alex McLeish made his only mistake of the game when he knocked the ball back, which was fatal. And, of course, it was a penalty. Juanito got it. Now, that knocked a bit of stuffing out of the Aberdeen side. But then they came back, and I knew they'd come back in the second half. After Alex Ferguson had a word at half-time, they would do, and they did.
Well, I must say, our hearts were in our mouths at the end, because 2 minutes to go, they had that free kick. Anything could have happened here. They could have lost it here, or at least they could have levelled the score here so easily.
Well, of course, when we saw the ball go through the lineup, then you felt that it was going to be in. It would have really been an injustice had it done.
Yes. Actually, when you think of the stars in that side, I mean, Gordon Strachan, there were flashes of absolute brilliance. Eric Black, before he went off, it's ironical that the man who scored the goal was Black substitute John Hewitt, wasn't it?
Yes, of course, and he did it in the last round as well. But when you think of all the kicking that the Spaniards did, and they do, and they are cynical, and the referee, who was, I think he's 50, it was his last game, I think, he didn't control them. But Aberdeen didn't retaliate. No. They got on with playing the game, and that's what they are. They are a football side. And Little Strachan in particular, in the extra time, did some marvellous... And you saw the conditions, you know, it's very heavy. But Aberdeen definitely the fitter side.
Well, there we are. Thank you very much indeed, Dennis. Just before we close tonight, can I draw your attention to a sports documentary that can be seen on ITV next Monday night, presented by Peter Ellis. It is called 30 Years On, and it looks back at what was surely the greatest year in British sporting history in 1953, when Stanley Matthews won the Cup for Blackpool, Gordon Richards won the Derby, and England won the Ashes for the first time in 20 years. That's 30 Years On, next Monday night on ITV. But a triumph for Aberdeen. John Hewitt came on as a substitute and scored the winner against Bayern Munich, and he does the same tonight against Real Madrid and wins for Aberdeen the European Cup Winners' Cup. Let's leave it with them now as we say goodbye to you all. Well, we've got one word from you, actually. Well, but just wait. What is that final word on triumph?
Well, of course, Aberdeen, magnificent victory. Magnificent.
From Dennis and myself, good night.
Coming on, John Hewitt, in fact, who got the winner against Bayern Munich in the quarter-final. So his pedigree is excellent. That's a good ball from Peter Weir. And now Aberdeen with McGee making the break, and Hewitt waiting in the middle!
He's round here a minute. Can you get round here to get hold of God? There we are.
Thank you, boys. Thank you, boys. Wherever.
Curry doon. There we are. Now, how do in all honesty, can I just ask you one thing about the conditions? The conditions look quite appalling out there.
It wasn't as bad as it looked. You know, it was some good conditions. I thought it wasn't bad. I thought it was okay to play on, honestly, I did.
Yeah. What did you think in general? What did you think in general, Mark, of Real Madrid itself?
I thought they'd get beat. That's about all I can say about it at this moment, actually.
And apart from anything else, what a marvellous support you had, didn't you?
Fabulous. Oh, it's incredible. And a night like that, it's fabulous.
And I mean, it really was pouring down with rain, and yet you really got through.
They didn't even have vouchers.
Well, anyway, you came off the... Yes, sorry.
Did you see that banner, Jarvie?
No.
Bring Jarvie back.
Well, I'll tell you what, you came off the pitch there in full voice. Let's have it from you and how you feel.
Here we go.
Lift the cup.
Here we go.
What a marvellous night for Scottish football. Well, there's one...
Cheering was deafening as the crowds took over. Scenes like the match unforgettable. Proof, if proof were needed, that the Granite City earned the name from its buildings, not its people.
Well, I told you I wouldn't take it off. Good evening and welcome to the North Tonight studio. I'm sure you don't need to be told that there's only one headline this evening. The Dons are back home with the European Cup Winners' Cup.
And later in the programme, we'll be capturing all the atmosphere of their triumphant return to Aberdeen this afternoon. Plus, we'll be looking back on a night of triumph and meeting the fans who are still celebrating.
And for those who thought that hypothermia only affected the elderly, here in Dundee we report on a study...
And this was the scene just outside our studios this afternoon as the stay-at-home fans gave the Dons a hero's welcome. The cavalcade continued its triumphant journey through the centre of the city and on to Pittodrie, where a capacity crowd were waiting to see their team and their cup. And the fans themselves have come in for high praise from the authorities in Gothenburg. The police commander said today that the 10,000-strong Red Army have behaved impeccably. Aberdeen and their supporters, he said, are welcome back any time. We'll have reports from Pittodrie and Gothenburg later in the programme. A 21-year-old...
And it's at Pittodrie that the real celebrations and the tributes will be made. As you can see and hear, this place is packed out with the Red Army. A lot of the troopers here were in Gothenburg last night, celebrating until the small hours of the morning. They then caught the first plane home, landed at Dice and came straight here to Pittodrie. But the vast majority of people here were at home last night, celebrating until the small hours also. And it's amazing that they're still in fine voice to welcome their heroes home.
Now, who do you think the best player was?
Doug Rugby. All of the players were good. All of them.
Can I ask you why you've decided to come here to Pittodrie today?
Because I've never been at a live football match or a pitch before.
Now, where are you from?
Orkney.
And how brutal. Did you come from Orkney, all the way from Orkney to see this match?
Certainly. Oh, you liar. I'm not at Cornhill when
She's a nurse and she's doing
I just came down a week ago.
Now, do you think after the success last night, the Dons will win the league on Saturday?
Yeah!
Now, who do you think the best player was?
Old Faithful, Willie Miller.
Yes. Now, you're a bit older than most of the people who are here waiting for the Dons today. Why did you decide to come along?
Well, I started coming here in 1934. That's a long time ago.
And is this the greatest day in the Dons' history, is it?
Yes, it is.
Yes. How did it...
Marvellous. Jubilant fans at Pittodrie a short time ago. Scenes rivalled only by the scenes in Gothenburg after the match. And the celebrations since have gone on and on. The last-minute victory by the Dons inspired noisy celebrations all over Gothenburg last night. Not satisfied by being drenched in a continuous thunderstorm, some fans even jumped into the Ullevi Stadium fountain. Meanwhile, their heroes headed towards their own party, and Frank Ilfeather took the opportunity to have a quick word with Alec Ferguson.
Alec, it's difficult to know how you're going to keep your head tonight.
Oh, I'm interested in that.
Absolutely marvellous.
Absolutely. I'm proud of them. I mean, it's their day.
They played like champions,
didn't they? Unbelievable. I mean, I think that spell after we lost the goal, that you know, they let things slip a wee bit. They're saying themselves off going to goal at. But second half, extra time, they slaughtered them.
What happened at half-time, Alec? They came out, they transformed.
It was just the wee thing that they worried about, having lost the goal, having started so well and lost a little grip in it. They weren't really getting tight on them. And allowing to play a bit, you know. But we sorted one or two things. The strikers did a great job actually coming a little bit deeper to force them to play it longer, and which is alien to the game. I can't say tactical these things, but really it was just a matter of getting them in a half-time and sorting one or two things out and slaughtered them after that.
And Eric Black had a marvellous game,
didn't
he?
Magnificent. Just hope his ankle's all right for the Scottish Cup final now. Yeah.
But really, I don't know how you're going to cope with this in Gothenburg tonight, and tomorrow, of course. You've got to be absolutely...
We'll handle it.
I bet you will. That's really sincere congratulations.
Thanks very much, Frank.
Great stuff, and we need no excuses to remind you of just how Aberdeen pulled it off. Sit back and savour last night's action.
Striking now to find his way through the water. The corner kick. It's McLeish. Deflection, Black. And Aberdeen take the lead. There's Juanito with a dummy. Careless one from McLeish. That'll be a penalty kick, yes. Leighton is penalised. So the penalty kick for Real. Juanito will take it. No chance for Leighton. Delightful little chip forward. San Jose is a covering player for Mark McGee. Hewitt's waiting in the middle. Yes! And that is a magnificent goal for Aberdeen.
It was indeed a night of triumph for Aberdeen and indeed the whole of Scotland. And we hope to be going to Pittodrie in just a few minutes. But now, the rest of the day's news.
As Aberdeen welcomes back its European heroes, and we've just received the first pictures of the greeting the team received from the crowd as they paraded the cup at Pittodrie.
amazing. I never used to like football. I'm sold on it now. Well, now, this is one of the results from a year-long study of...
After a historic night for Aberdeen in Gothenburg, the team returned unaware of the colossal reception that was waiting for them. They'd certainly expected a warm welcome, which is what they got at Aberdeen Airport. But only as their open-top coach neared the city centre did the Dons begin to realise the impact their win had had on Britain's oil capital, which had literally dried up for the afternoon. Manager Alex Ferguson was still in a daze from last night.
The support, you go for your support, they were absolutely magnificent. And the rest of the night goes in so quickly that the champagne was flowing and you don't get to your bed, but who worries about that? But oh, it was great.
The streets, which had been deserted during the match, were packed solid as Scotland's newest football heroes came home. Hangovers were apparently rare. Many fans were still drunk from last night. All in all, it was the sort of welcome that would put even Liverpool to shame. Jeremy Hands, News at 10, Aberdeen.
In the sky.
Delightful little chip forward. San Jose, the covering player for Mark McGee. Huge waiting in the middle. Yeah, and that is a magnificent goal for Aberdeen.
Well, really, he is the man of the moment. In 5 years as manager at Aberdeen Football Club, Fergie has brought them tremendous success. He's brought them the Scottish Cup, the League Championship, and now the biggest prize of all, the European Cup Winners' Cup. Aberdeen Football Club returned to the city and the heroes' welcome after rewriting the soccer history books. Thousands of fans lined the route from the airport to Pittodrie Stadium to pay an emotional tribute to the men who beat the legendary Real Madrid and take the European Cup Winners' Cup back to Scotland for the first time in 11 years. Cup Winners' Cup in the northeast for the first time. And here's how the fabulous Dons defied the odds last night in Gothenburg.
Striking now to find his way through the water. The corner kick. It's McLeish. Deflection, Black. And Aberdeen take the lead. There's Juanito with a dummy. Careless one from McLeish. That'll be a penalty kick, yes. Leighton is penalised. So the penalty kick for Real. Juanito will take it. No chance for Leighton. Delightful little chip forward. San Jose, the covering player for Mark McGee. Huge waiting in the middle. Yeah, and that is a magnificent goal for Aberdeen.
And after that historic victory, the Red Army were not taking prisoners as they hit the Swedish night spots.
For the players too, it was an emotional occasion. One of the youngest sides to win a European trophy had come of age, and manager Alec Ferguson continued his remarkable success story.
Alec, it's difficult to know how you're going to keep your head tonight.
Oh, I'm interested in that.
Absolutely marvellous.
Absolutely. I'm proud of them. I mean, it's their day.
They played like champions,
Oh,
didn't they?
unbelievable. I mean, I think that spell after we lost the goal, that you know, they let things slip a wee bit. They're saying themselves of going to the goal. But second half, extra time, they slaughtered them.
What happened at half-time, Alec? Oh, they came out, they
It was
transformed.
just the wee thing that they worried about, having lost the goal, having started so well and lost a little grip in it. They weren't really getting tight on them and allowing to play a bit, you know. But we started one or two things. The strikers did a great job actually coming a little bit deeper to force them to play it longer, and it was just alien to the game. I can't say tactical these things, but really it was just a matter of getting them in at half-time and sorting one or two things out and they slaughtered them after that.
And Eric Black had a marvellous game,
Oh,
didn't he?
magnificent. Just hope his ankle's all right for the Scottish Cup final now.
Yeah. But really, I don't know how you're going to cope with this in Gothenburg tonight, and tomorrow, of course. You're going to be absolutely...
We'll handle it.
I bet you will. Really, sincere congratulations.
Thanks very much, Frank.
It's not been an easy trophy to win, and these fans knew they were greeting a special team who'd beaten the best in Spain and the best in Germany on the way to the final.
Over the ball. Augenthaler looking for a chance to shoot. And that's the moment that Aberdeen were dreading. Now Miller replaces Kennedy on the touchline. Breaks for Cooper, now McGee. That's a great cross, Eric Black is there. It's off the line, no, it's played in by Simpson, and Aberdeen are level. Delahaya has come off Rugby to make space to run at the big defender. Peter Weir helping his defence. Now Dremler. Venice got a touch. McLeish. And that is a special goal coming in from Flugler. Well, they couldn't agree, obviously. Strachan plays it in. The header finds the net. And Aberdeen are back in the match once more. Alec McLeish. Alec McLeish gives Aberdeen a chance. So Alec McLeish picks up only his second goal of the season, but it gives Aberdeen the urge to force the pace in the last 13 minutes. Can they make it? There's Eric Black. The goalkeeper knocks it out. It's in the net and Aberdeen are in front. John Hewitt.
I'm very proud to be associated with Aberdeen Football Club. I think we've done a good job, and I think the Aberdeen public has responded wonderful to us.
Does this sort of turnout today surprise you?
Yes, it does, very much. And I think it shows what the interest of the public is taking in football today. Football is not dead, it's by any means very much alive.
Mr. Doll, what was the feeling in the Real Madrid camp after the game last night?
Tremendous as far as we were concerned. Real Madrid said that we were the better team, no doubt about that, and we're very proud to know that we are now established in Europe.
Chris Anderson, many congratulations. You must be feeling very pleased with yourself.
Yes, I'm very pleased. I'm very pleased with the supporters, the wonderful help we got at Gothenburg in dreadful conditions.
Actually, were you surprised at all by the numbers who turned out in Gothenburg?
No, we knew that the 10,000 people thereby were going there, and more important, we weren't surprised by the results. We all felt all along we could beat Real Madrid, and I think that's the thing that's filled the people today with such happiness and joy, that they beat such a team of standing as Real Madrid.
I was asking Mr. Donald earlier how the Real officials reacted to the Aberdeen victory.
Well, not very kindly, I'm sorry to say. It was like, as we say, like disappeared like snow off a dike. But however, we can understand the disappointment, a great disappointment. They were favourites to win, but on the night our players were better. They were a better team, man for man, and we were fully worthy of a great victory.
And so 18 or 20,000 fans here at Pittodrie Stadium greet the Aberdeen heroes, the Dawn Stars, who last night won the European Cup Winners' Cup by beating the legendary Real Madrid.
the scenes here are really quite remarkable, considering that for most of these fans it's been a long afternoon. They've been packed into this ground for something like 2.5 hours. But as you can hear, it's been well worth the wait. And just look at these remarkable scenes. There are flags, there are banners, there are scarves. And there are supporters of all ages, of all shapes and sizes. And it really is a fantastic evening. You may be able to see at the back of the parade, and really he's been applauding the fans for turning out, being so patient and waiting such a long time for this amazing welcome home that they've had, because the streets, the houses overlooking those streets, which saw the open-top bus take the team from the airport with the cup, the streets have been absolutely mobbed with well-wishers. There's Eric Black and how pleased he is. Look, he's of course the man, the young man who did so well last night, scoring the first goal and had a truly amazing game. In fact, one of the stars last night. Well, you know, it really is quite amazing that there are probably more people here tonight than were in the Ullevi Stadium in Gothenburg last night. A crowd of something like 17,500 people were in Gothenburg. 15,000 of those perhaps Aberdeen supporters. But tonight it's something else. 20,000 people. They've been coming from all over the north and northeast, in fact from all over Scotland.
And goal hero Eric Black had his own special fan club at the ground. I spoke to the talented youngster after he'd taken the salute from the crowd.
You must have thought it was a dream come true last night.
Fantastic, I couldn't believe it. Absolutely brilliant. Delighted with the result, and hopefully we'll do the same next week. Hopefully. It'll be great.
I think it was one of your best ever performances.
Oh, I don't know about that. I think the team played well as a whole, really. I think that was the main thing, you know. And I'm just delighted that we...
Did the celebrations go on very long last night, Eric?
Well, they were not too bad, actually. I think everybody's quite delighted anyway, you know. We're all delighted.
And how about this turnout this evening?
Oh, fantastic, unbelievable. Couldn't believe it. I didn't think it was as many people in Aberdeen, actually, but there you go.
Arguably...
And as the team enjoy the euphoria of today's big occasion, they're already thinking ahead to Saturday's game, a match that could clinch the Premier title, and to the Scottish Cup final in 10 days' time, where they could complete a unique treble. But whatever happens over the next 2 weeks, last night's game will be remembered for a lifetime.
Dons manager Alec Ferguson and striker Mark McGee had brought the trophy to the quayside with them, and that meant even more flag waving and cheering from the homecomers. The motorist is not being overcharged for petrol, according to the head.
We haven't checked up on what we'll not know till this afternoon, but I've not even heard any damage at all, even broken glass or something like that. That's about all.
P&O have found new passengers, the supporters a brand new football special. But the company say it's unlikely they'll comply with the wishes of one fan who wanted to book passage from here up the Clyde to Hampden for the Scottish Cup final next week. The crew won't have had time by then to catch up on sleep lost at the victory parties. It was quite a night, as Nick Cowie reports.
They'd saved the celebration until everyone had had a good day's sleep. Immediately after the match, the fans had been so drained of emotion that they just talked and relived the goals until the early hours. Then, last night, the party that was to last until almost breakfast time today began. It really didn't seem possible to top the scenes from the journey out, but the Red Army had promised that would be nothing compared to what we'd see if they won, and they were right. This was just the warm-up as they began to demolish the rapidly dwindling supply of beer and dance their way home to Aberdeen.
It's midnight now on the last night of the voyage, and after 4 days on the ship we're left with 100 different impressions, all of them good-humoured. The fans here have been magic. They've been good ambassadors for their city. There's been no trouble, though it's been a free spending trip. £9,500 have gone across the counter of the duty-free shop here, and some 15,000 cans of lager have been drunk. But despite that, the behaviour's been good. And just to give one example of the sort of people these are, in the early hours of this morning, when the fans, we all were celebrating winning the cup, we received some sad news on board that one of the fans had died of a heart attack at the match. To a man, everyone stood up and held 2 minutes silence, and a very, very large donation is going to the family of that man. But on a happier note, the parties are still going on board all over the ship here, and everyone's having a good time. And by the morning, we just hope that the cup will be there to greet us at the dockside.
Meanwhile, back at the disco, the band were losing the decibel battle with the fans. How they still had voices left after days of singing and cheering, we'll never know. What they certainly hadn't lost was the amazing goodwill and humour that had marked the trouble-free trip from the beginning. One veteran fan said he'd never seen anything like it in his life, and that included VE Day. Perhaps it was all summed up by the last tannoy message from the purser. Will the passenger who lost his false teeth please come to reception, where he'll find them stuck in an apple.
They even missed the parade in Union Street, but they won't worry about that. Well, the euphoria in Aberdeen is likely to continue tomorrow when the team play their final league match at Pittodrie. Of course, Aberdeen still have an outside chance of winning the Premier League title, so close are the top 3 teams. With news of that little race and a roundup of the weekend's other sporting action, here's Alan Caldwell.
Well, often Conservatives didn't see any point in war in the minds of 5 Scottish team managers. Until the Premier League is decided tomorrow, it won't be clear which team will be playing in.
2 nights ago, can you ever forget it?
Tracking now to find his way through the water. The corner kick. Here's McLeish. Deflection, Black. And Aberdeen take the lead. Juanito with a dummy. Careless one from McLeish. That'll be a penalty kick, yes. Leighton is penalised. So the penalty kick for Real. Juanito will take it. No chance for Leighton. Delightful little chip forward. San Jose is a covering player for Mark McGee. Hughes waiting in the middle. Yes! That is a magnificent goal for Aberdeen.
Well, if that was a marvellous night, then no one could possibly have predicted what was to happen yesterday when the team returned to the city. Now, the scenes were straight out of a fairy tale. Something like 100,000 well-wishers packed the streets of Aberdeen to cheer on their heroes. In fact, between people and cars jamming the streets, there was absolutely no space to walk. People were even hanging out office and shop windows, standing on everything from balconies to statues to get a good vantage point. Scenes like these have never before been witnessed in the Northeast, and Alec Ferguson and his players must have felt proud to have brought the trophy back to the city. Well, it had taken the open-top bus carrying the players from the airport through the city centre to Pittodrie 2.5 hours, but it was well worth the wait. There we are then, and we really were very proud of the players. It was marvellous being there, I must say that. So what does that victory do for Scottish football at a time when there's so much talk of gloom and despondency about our national game? With me to discuss such points is Aberdeen director Ian Donald. Ian, it really has done a lot in terms of making Scottish football known again throughout Europe, hasn't it?
Oh, I think it's made a tremendous impact on Scottish football. It's 12 years since we've been successful in Europe. And I think other European teams take for granted the domestic scene. And to actually win in Europe puts us right back on the map.
I was asking your father and Chris Anderson the other day what sort of response you'd had from the Real camp, and I think Chris had said that they'd all disappeared like snow off a dike.
Yeah, well, they did seem to leave rather quickly, like a funeral procession. They're obviously geared for success, and they've had a tremendous success in the past, and it was a great disappointment to them. I don't think they really felt that Aberdeen were good enough to beat them.
What sort of response, Ian, have you had from clubs in Scotland? Have you had any telegrams and so on?
Fabulous. We've had telegrams from nearly all the managers in Scottish football, from your Rangers and Celtic down to Brecon City. So it's been a tremendous response. We've had telegram from Bob Paisley this morning. Everyone in Britain, not just Scotland, has taken great interest in Aberdeen's victory.
It really has been a marvellous season, and presumably, from the financial point of view, it has been very beneficial to the club.
Oh yes, it's success breeds money in football, and we've had a good season that way. But we have a lot of outlays on contracts and players, and we hope to do better.
Will there be difficulty in retaining top players, do you think, as a result of the interest now being shown in them?
Well, I think it's great that there is interest being shown in them. I mean, it's often in the past we've said if we'd had a Bob Charlton or a Dennis Law, but now other teams are saying if we have a Gordon Strachan or a Peter Weir, and it's a great position to be in. But we will do our utmost at Pittodrie to keep our top players.
Anyway, Ian, it's nice to see, obviously, you've got over all the celebrations on Wednesday night. It must have been quite a night at the team's hotel.
Oh, tremendous night, and I think my feet touched the ground this morning for the first time.
Well done, Ian. Thanks a lot.
Thank you very much.
Well, of course, Pittodrie will be packed to capacity tomorrow for the final game of the season against Hibs. The European Cup Winners' Cup will be on display, along with the team which won it. The League Championship will be won or lost at Dens Park tomorrow, of course, and here, with a close look at the game, is Alan Saunders.
Well, Dundee United manager Jim McLean was full of praise for Aberdeen's magnificent achievement in winning the Cup Winners' Cup, and is now hoping that his team can keep the titles coming to the East Coast. If they pull it off at Dens Park tomorrow, United will have completed a unique treble. 2 League Cups and a Scottish Premier League title, all won at Dens Park. Well, the Tannadice club has been trying desperately hard to make it business as usual during the build-up to the all-important derby match. Training has followed normal lines, and the